Hey! Now the next fanfiction is called I'm Not Upset by Bigxchan. Also, I'm sick. I forgot to mention that before.
Amazing.
Chapter 1. Victor is painfully aware of Yuri's steadily rising popularity. The younger men's got quite the fanbase, building an infestation in the internet after that video of him performing his choreography to Stay Close to Me went viral a couple of weeks ago. Which is something Victor's happy about, don't get him wrong. His protege receiving such a large amount of recognition for his talent and efforts is something that anyone should take pride in, and it's been a huge help in assisting Victor in trying to uplift Yuri's confidence. It's not much of a wonder, really. Yuri is a gorgeous man. That in itself is surefire way to gaining a steady foundation for internet stardom. And to add up to that, he's also the very special person, or as the news articles have begun to claim, that the legendary Russian figure skater, yours truly, Viktor Nikiforov, had decided to take under his wing. Really, Victor would have been more surprised if the world didn't cause at least a semblance of an uproar for the younger man. But anyway, back to the original point. Victor has and is incredibly aware of Yuri's growing popularity. It would be hard to ignore. Have you seen Twitter lately? Not to mention the standoff between Yurio and Yuri has been the top pick for all the sports gossip and sports blogs all over the world to scream over. It's just that Victor's a bit, well, upset is probably the word that fits. He's not particularly sure as to why though, because he's genuinely happy about this recent exposure Yuri has been getting, but it's like a persistent and constant itch at the back of his head that would not leave him. However, he tries to convince himself that he's perfectly okay with it. Maybe it's because he's secretly afraid that Yuri would surpass him. No, definitely not. Not even a chance. Maybe it's because of the comments in the recent photo he had posted in his Instagram account. Victor had posted a shot of Yuri, post-competition, still wearing his costume from Arrow's choreography. Sweat glistening against the shimmers of the overhead spotlight, a light dust of pink coloring the raven cheeks. A Yuri gives the camera a seductive gaze, paired with a teasing smirk. The comment section went nuts, going on and on about how they want Yuri to slay them or they want to slay Yuri instead, and admittedly more vulgar forms of the like. And Victor shouldn't have been surprised. He himself had been on the receiving end of such lewdness and praise for his fans, and he wasn't bothered by it much, really. By this point, he's probably immune to it already. By reading those comments on a photo of Yuri, his student, got his blood boiling and eyebrow twitching into an irritated tick. Victor sighs, tugging at the blankets that had successfully enclosed him and Yuri into their own personal hot pack. He shifts, carefully not to disturb the sleeping man beside him, and carefully extracts one of his arms that had been around Yuri's shoulders to reach for his phone on the nightstand. With the absence of Victor's arm from under him, Yuri shifts to accommodate the extra space he's been offered with, turning to his side and nuzzling his nose into the heat of Victor's neck. Ew, making the dusty silver-haired man huff and mirth. What the fuck does mirth mean?
I have no idea.
Great.
I don't even know if that's a word.
Google that for me, please, real quick.
I'm gonna Google it real quick. It means amusement. Why didn't they just say amusement?
It means amusement. Why they have to complicate their fucking lives? I think I've read a post on Tumblr about fucking fanfiction writers and complicating every single fucking word. Anyways. Yuri sleeps like a baby. Victor notes. And he spent a lot of nights just staring at strikingly charcoal black eyelashes cast shadows against pale freckled cheeks. Wait, he has freckles?
I don't know.
They made that shit up. Under the filter of
He does now.
Under the filter of the curtains that dulled the moonlight shining through the windows, he spent a lot of nights like this, comfortable under warm covers, his cold feet tangled with lean legs, listening to the steady push and pull of breathing, feeling the moderate beat of his heart strike loud against his chest. With his arms around Yuri's sleeping form, he takes a picture, a snapshot, of a split second in time. He locks his phone and puts it back on the nightstand before settling against the warm pillows, tucking Yuri under his chin and weaving his fingers through soft raven hair. He closes his eyes. He breathes in the faint smell of lavender, of course lavender, and sandalwood. Sandalwood? What the fuck? How do you pronounce that? Help me.
Sandalwood.
That, and he surrenders to the persistent pull of slumber. Victor always looked forward to their morning runs. Yes, he rode a bike, but it doesn't count because he's a coach, okay? Yuri's always lively in the mornings, and they talk about everything and nothing at all. It's early, with the town still half asleep and the sun just winking past the horizon. It's quiet, perfect for a company of two.
Did you sleep well, Victor?
Yuri asked through labored breaths.
Labored.
That breaths and the pattern of running shoes against the pavement. The steady hum of the bike cruising through the asphalt, but a steadily rumble. Is this me?
That's you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did. How about you, Piglet? He asked. You were really feeling me up last night, he adds, and he laughs. Heartily, when Jerry exclaims in shock.
Don't call me that!
And
I was not feeling you up.
he protests. Victor just laughs again, much fuller this time. Carefree, he seems to be doing a lot of those recently, and he speeds up his cadence, leaving Yuri to catch up to him. He hears a soft,
"Not fair, Victor-san,"
from behind him, but he's too busy laughing in his head to be sure. Does Yuri actually call him Victor-san? He calls him Victor.
I think maybe at first, when they first met, maybe he did.
Probably. Anyways. They reach the boundary of the town, and Victor slowly skids to a stop when he sees a group of 7 youngsters, probably in their late teens or early 20s, wave both of their hands up and holler, "Victor, Yuri, ugh." Beside him, Yuri also halts, and they watch as the group makes their way to them holding markers, pens, piece of paper, and a camera. Victor smiles when the realization hits him. They were fans. He opened his mouth to greet them when the blonde guy who was leading the pack suddenly greets them. "Good morning," bowing deeply. Yuri awkwardly choking out a reply with Victor greets back. Well, Victor greets back.
Oh, I think these are the fans talking.
Okay, you must be the fan.
I can read that.
Yeah.
Okay. "We were wondering if we could get an autograph and probably some pictures. We've been waiting for almost 2 hours and..."
"Sure," Victor cuts them off and smiles, and the group cheers in glee.
"Awesome!"
one of them says, and the guy who was holding the camera hands the device to Victor, who held it on to it with a confused look.
"Thank you so much, Victor-san,"
the guy says as they make their way towards Yuri, lining up beside him and posing for the camera. Well, this is new. Victor smiles at how awkward Yuri looks. Adorable, he thinks, as he peeks through the viewfinder of the camera to capture the image.
"Another one, please,"
someone says, and the other 6 of the younger men scurry off, as only one remains beside Yuri. It's that blonde guy, and he's got a hand on Yuri's waist. Victor drops a smile and he takes the photo.
Ooh, he jealous.
Yeah.
"I'm going to go take a bath first,"
Yuri says, exiting, exiting the bedroom and leaving Victor to wallow in his self-pity. He plops himself on the bed. It was cold, but it still smelled like lavender and sandalwood, which was a huge comfort. He pouts, remembering the events that had transpired earlier this morning. He decides that he's not upset about Yuri's popularity. Maybe he's just jealous, in a possessive, Yuri is only mine, please back off kind of way. Whatever, No big deal, right? He'll just have to show the internet, the world, the whole damn universe, that darn blonde bastard who touched his Yuri, who Victor Nikiforov really is. He pulls his phone out from the pocket of his sweatpants, opens the Instagram app, and picks that picture he took last night. Yuri was sleeping, nuzzled into his neck. While Victor had one hand stretched upwards and holding the phone, the other one was wrapped around Yuri's waist. Yuri's hands were trapped somewhere between their chests, and his raven hair was splayed splayed against the pristine white sheets. A stark contrast. Victor had one aquamarine eye peeking out, the other half of his face buried in soft charcoal hair. Before he can change his mind, he has a caption, mine, with all these 5,000 different colored heart emojis, and then he poses for the world to see. Yuri is going to kill him. Chapter 2. Victor turns his phone off, tossing the device somewhere on the carpeted floor before burrowing himself under the warm covers of their bed. Yes, their bed. He had been sleeping with Yuri for more than a handful of nights, and that's enough of an indication of co-ownership in his book. Or maybe not. Really, who even keeping track? I read that run, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the bed sheets smell like home, and that today hadn't turned into a complete downer. A few more minutes tick back, and Victor's left inside his own head to wonder about life and the universe in general. Those on what to eat for breakfast tomorrow. When the door creaks open and the lights from the hallways spill into the room. Yuri pads into the room. Yuri pads into the room, wrapped in a fluffy white towel that covers him from his shoulder down to his thighs. Really? His hair damp and his cheeks heavily flushed. Victor poses where he was laying on the bed, shifting to lie on his side, a hand bent on the pillow carrying the weight of his head, and he looks at Yuri close the door and unwrap himself from the towel, using the same material to dry his hair. Yuri has a really nice body, soft and clean. And lean, not clean. Well, clean too.
I mean, it is clean. He just got out of the bath.
True. Soft and lean. And his back is a map of freckles. He doesn't have freckles. Does he?
I don't know about his back.
I don't know. Wait. We've seen him, Nick. It doesn't matter. From the the map of freckles that form constellations on his pale skin. Victor traces the patterns with his eyes, studies how muscles flex under Yuri's grace, appreciates how his charcoal hair sweeps the nape of his neck, and how his boxers ride pleasantly low on his hips. Victor closes his eyes when Yuri turns to face his closet, and Victor lies flat on the bed, listening with steady breath to the sound of clothes being worn. Deft and faintly trimmed fingernails clicking softly against buttons. Feet padding against the carpet, and finally, the rustling of the blankets beside him. A warm body, a little cool from the bite of the evening air, but warm all the same. Victor humps in content when Yuri eases the space between them, and Victor lies on his other side, so that his back was to Yuri's. Yuri accepts the invitation, edging even closer to put one hand between their bodies, and his other arm was thrown over Victor's waist, his legs dangling with the shoulders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Is that Victor
That's
talking?
me.
Okay.
Yes, that's me.
Duh, you.
You didn't wear any pajama bottoms? Victor whispers into the still air, and Yuri humps against his back. Cute, Victor thinks, the way Yuri fits behind him.
It'll be too warm.
Yuri mumbles back, snacking his arm that was over Victor's.
It's a snaking.
It says snacking.
No, snacking has a C in it.
Doesn't snaking have an E in it?
Not when it's
like sneaking?
With ing though.
Really?
Yeah, English is fucking weird.
Oh. Well, I would like to believe it's a snacking.
He's snacking his arm.
Yeah. This became Tokyo Ghoul, okay? Sneaking his arm that was over Victor's waist closer against Victor's chest, and Victor takes his hand into one of his own, entangling their fingers in a snug fit. He studies them for a few moments, long after they've exchanged their good nights, and Victor can't help but think before finally succumbing to the trembles of sleep. It fits, he thought. Fits in mine. No shit. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Damn it. Oh, it's you. Wake up me. Wake me up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, damn it.
Victor jakes away when he gets slapped smack dab across the face. His face. And he jolts with a surprised gasp, bracing himself to defend his honor against his attacker when he finds out, after he's finally conscious enough to be aware of what's actually happening, that his lower body is immobile. Excuse me. Not that he's paralyzed or anything drastic like that, but he's held captive by Yuri. Anyways, who was sitting on his hips like it was nobody's goddamn business. And this is not okay, Victor thinks. His heart racing a mile a minute and positively beating a tattoo against his chest. He gulps, trying to normalize his labored breathing and trying to blink away his vision. Really, this could not be happening. He feels the sting of Yuri's slap against his cheek and nods to himself. Scratch that, this is totally happening. He's not sure if he should be happy or not. First of all, it's too early for this shit. But then again, Yuri, also known as the very object of Victor's affection, is sitting on top of him, in nothing but his boxers as bottoms, arms crossed over his chest, and eyebrows drawn together. Victor reluctantly relaxes on the bed. He's probably 80% happy about this whole ordeal and 20% not, because he's got this inkling, and it's not good. But whatever, right? Yuri's on top of him, willingly at that. He tries to shift, and is aware that state of this morning. Wait, my nose is very clogged. I need to blow. Oh god. Oh lord. He tries to shift and is aware of that state of his morning wood inside his sweatpants and considerably pales. Okay, make that 50% happy and 50% not. Good morning, Victor tries, and Yuri levels him with a deadpan stare.
Mind explaining this?
Yuri says, and suddenly there's a very bright phone screen shoved in front of Victor's face, but the picture he had posted last night on Instagram was unmistakable. Alright, I will, Victor says hastily, and Yuri grumbles.
Please, for the love of God.
Under his breath. Simply put, I did it because I was jealous, Victor spits out, and Yuri raises both his eyebrows at him, looking very surprised.
Jealous? You?
Yuri says, with more emphasis on the second word. Emphasis. Repeat.
Wait. Oh, you?
Good. It felt almost like an accusation to Victor, who just shrugs and nods.
That's stupid.
Yuri suddenly says loudly, and Victor startles. Pardon? He replies. Yuri snorts. Yuri snorts. Cheeks tinted pink, and the way he starts, all but vibrating on top of Victor, isn't doing the older man any good. Or maybe it is. Depends on what angle you look at this. Really. Sorry, I'm confused, Victor states. Yuri looks at him fondly, cheeks taking on a much darker crimson shade because of his laughter.
We've been sleeping for... Oh.
Oh, it's you, sorry. It's you.
Hey. We've been sleeping for weeks, Victor-san. You asked me out on a date the other night, which, thank you, by the way, it was really pleasant. You don't have to be jealous. I'm all your...
Mine, Victor finishes, and Yuri's eyes bulge out of his sockets as Victor suddenly shifts and now into positions of her burst. with Yuri lying wide-eyed on the bed and Victor caging him in from above him. You are all mine, Victor repeats in endless pose. This time, Yuri gets embarrassed, chocolate eyes drifting elsewhere, but on Jupiter orbs and Victor smicks from above him. That makes me so relieved, Victor announces, flopping down on top of Victor, of Yuri, who offs, I guess, the weight of the older man.
That doesn't mean I'll
That
let you
doesn't-
off the hook just like that.
He protests, and Victor's head shoots up from where it was nuzzling beside his neck. What do you mean? He asks.
No cuddles for a week.
Yuri says, and Victor screams, No!
He doesn't sound too devastated.
I'm sorry, but I'm sick and it's fucking 1 a.m.
Oh yeah.
If that, yes, I'm not, that scream would have been pretty devastating, you know?
I like the note at the bottom. She wrote that I just realized that this was horrible. Hide me.
Anyways, we're ending this here, so thank you for being here, Maureen.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye bye. See you guys later.